One of the funniest narratives is that Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell somehow hate each other, and Kelsey Mitchell hates Indiana, and she wants to leave Indiana because occasionally, you know, she might go and post something cryptic that has nothing to do with basketball. And if you
One of the loudest and most stubborn storylines floating around the WNBA this season claims that Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark secretly dislike each other, that Mitchell is desperate to leave Indiana specifically to escape Clark, and that every vague Instagram caption is proof of some hidden feud fans have imagined. That narrative has been repeated so often it's started to feel real to some people, but it isn't. What actually matters is what happened when Mitchell sat down for that Subaru-sponsored podcast interview, because her own words completely dismantled the drama that social media was determined to manufacture.
I feel like, you know, that when something that big or someone that big who has that much impact comes into something, there are a lot of adjustments that people have to make on the floor, off the floor, in the locker room, in the training room. Just a lot of stuff is a lot of moving parts. And I think the biggest part that I respected about Caitlin is that she never was bigger than the program. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, it wasn't like she wasn't trying to take over. You know, it wasn't, I don't know how to explain that. You know what I'm trying to say though?
Yeah. One of the most relentless rumors circulating around the WNBA this year insists that Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark don't get along, that Mitchell is eager to leave Indiana specifically to distance herself from Clark, and that every ambiguous Instagram post is treated as proof of a made-up rivalry. The story has been echoed so frequently that some fans have started accepting it as fact, but it's not. What actually cuts through the noise is what unfolded when Mitchell appeared on that Subaru-backed podcast, because her own comments quietly dismantled the storyline social media was so determined to create.
And she's going to obviously do her part, because that's what being a professional athlete is, but with the understanding of fitting into a team, making sure we fit, making sure we have chemistry. So it's never bigger than like the group
it's like
itself.
She wasn't trying to be bigger than everybody. Like within our locker room, she wasn't trying to be bigger than anyone else. And I think the way that her style of play, it ended up complimenting me, ended up complimenting AB. And so like the one thing I love.
She literally came out and said, when it comes to, like, there's never been a negative word said.
Listen closely to what Mitchell actually said. She made it clear she never viewed herself as bigger than the team, and that's not the language of someone carrying resentment. It's the language of respect. Real respect for how a superstar rookie integrated herself into an established locker room. Because when the most high-profile player in women's basketball history joins a team, bringing massive media attention and commercial pressure, there are countless ways things can fall apart. Egos can collide, styles can clash, and veterans can feel pushed aside. None of that happened in Indiana, and Mitchell is explaining exactly why.
She also knows when Caitlin Clark's there, she can't go ultra ISO. But also, we saw a lot less dribble, step back long twos out of her last year than we saw in 2024. And especially early on in the year. Like, we always joke about Kelsey Mitchell on this channel, like she has the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder. Angel is telling her, pass the ball, relocate, I can get an open layup or 3-point shot. And the devil's telling her, let me go tween, step back and shoot a shot with my foot on the line. Whereas she was listening to the angel way more often than she was listening to the devil in 2025.
There it is. Her style of play complemented me and complemented AB. Mitchell isn't just being polite. She's laying out a basketball truth that completely reshaped her game in 2024. Look at the shift. In 2023, Mitchell averaged 17.1 points per game on 42.3% shooting, relying heavily on isolations, step-back jumpers, and creating offense off the dribble. It worked, but it was draining and often inefficient. Then Clark arrived with elite playmaking. Suddenly, Mitchell was getting clean looks she'd never had before, catch-and-shoot threes instead of contested pull-ups, easy layups off backdoor cuts instead of forcing drives through traffic, all because of what she received playing alongside Caitlin Clark.
There are very few basketball players in the world who would rather lose. Who would rather lose than win, if we're being honest. But yeah, it is what it is. So, I see it here again. Grateful for you two's reposting it. And it's just one of those things where this Indiana Fever team, we joke, like, we joke about it, but it was partially correct. Like, we have absolutely joked about this whole thing.
Mitchell is being strikingly honest about her own habits, the voice urging her to slip into hero mode, over-dribble, and take the difficult shot, versus the quieter reminder that the simple play actually wins games. In 2024, she chose the latter far more often, not because Clark forced the change, but because smart basketball becomes undeniable when you're sharing the floor with someone who simplifies the game for everyone. That's exactly where the they hate each other storyline collapses. Mitchell is describing a teammate who elevated her, reduced the burden on her shoulders, and helped push the Fever into the playoffs for the first time in years.
Our lineup was Bree Turner, Lexi Hull, KK, Odyssey Sims, and Shea Petty. And they dragged the eventual champion Aces back into overtime. They dragged them into overtime. It was literally... It was one of those things where it's like... They absolutely, as a team... You could tell they adored each other. They literally would run.
The idea of friendship even became a running joke among Mitchell and the rest of the Fever during the playoffs, but there was real substance beneath the humor. Just look at Game 2 against the Las Vegas Aces. Indiana was down 10, Aaliyah Boston was on the bench, and the lineup on the floor featured Bria Turner, Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, Odyssey Sims, and Katie Lou Samuelson, not exactly a championship-caliber unit on paper. Yet that group hauled the eventual WNBA champions into overtime. They battled, clawed, and refused to fold. And when Indiana picked up playoff wins, the entire roster sprinted to Clark's black Air Force Ones to celebrate together. That isn't something staged for cameras. That's authentic chemistry, the kind you can't fake over the grind of a full season.
Whatever we want to say about Stephanie White's coaching, I think Stephanie White did an exceptional job. I think it's fair to say she did an exceptional job, but there are still questions, and we'll need to see whether or not Caitlin Clark is going, like, whether or not this style of play is going to fit with Caitlin Clark next year. But we need a full season to figure that out. Like, we didn't see 1 minute of Caitlin Clark being healthy, so we need a full season to figure that out. If it turns out that it's not compatible, then the Fever have a choice to make. They don't need to make it soon.
Here's where reality has to be separated from speculation. Yes, there is a scenario where Kelsey Mitchell leaves Indiana in free agency. She's earned that right to explore her options, evaluate what other teams might offer, and make the best decision for her career and her family. But if Mitchell does leave, it won't be because she's running from Caitlin Clark. It won't be because of some imaginary locker room drama manufactured by fans desperate for controversy. If she moves on, it will be for the same reasons elite players always do. A different opportunity, a different city, a different role, or better financial terms. All of those are legitimate, and none of them have anything to do with personal animosity.
And people still try to push the narrative. Like, for me, I can't believe I'm constantly having to make this same video over and over and over again. But fans are still pushing that narrative, so I have to talk about it over and over and over again. But at least every single time I'll make one of these videos, maybe there's a fan who believes that Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark don't like each other, or Kelsey Mitchell doesn't like Caitlin Clark, rather than the fact that they very much do like each other. They seem to enjoy playing with each other. And yes, there's a world where Kelsey Mitchell leaves.
And yet, despite all the evidence, despite Mitchell's own words, despite the visible chemistry throughout the 2024 season, this narrative refuses to die. Fans keep pushing the idea that these two players can't stand each other, which raises a more interesting question. Why are people so invested in creating drama where none exists? Part of the answer is modern sports fandom itself. Controversy drives engagement. A story about two professionals respecting each other and making each other better doesn't generate clicks the way rumors of locker room tension and personality clashes do. Conflict is more marketable than cohesion. Another part is projection. Fans carry strong opinions about how the Fever should be built, who deserves the ball, who should be the primary option, how minutes ought to be distributed. When reality doesn't align with those expectations, narratives get invented to explain the gap. Imagined friction becomes a convenient explanation for disappointment, and then there's the simplest reason. People love drama. A functional, healthy team dynamic feels boring compared to the soap opera version where everyone is secretly feuding. Stability doesn't trend. Chaos does. But the problem with that mindset is that it ignores what actually wins games. Indiana didn't succeed in 2024 because of tension. They succeeded because of trust, complementary skill sets, and players willing to adjust for the sake of winning. That's not a scandal. It's basketball.
What do you guys think in the comment section below? Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? And yeah, let me know. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Let's address the elephant in the room, Stephanie White's coaching, and whether her system is actually compatible with Caitlin Clark long-term. The reality is simple. We didn't see a single minute of a fully healthy Caitlin Clark operating under Stephanie White's system. By the time White took over, Clark was already dealing with the ankle injury that would eventually shut her down for the rest of the season. So right now, we're debating a partnership that hasn't truly existed yet. That alone makes this a legitimate question mark heading into next year. White's offensive philosophy emphasizes constant ball movement and multiple playmakers. Clark's greatest strength is her ability to dominate the ball, collapse defenses, and create advantages through individual brilliance. Those ideas aren't mutually exclusive, but they do require careful integration. If you force Clark into a system that minimizes her on-ball impact, you're not being egalitarian, you're leaving value on the table. And if, after a full healthy season, it becomes clear that White's system doesn't maximize Clark's abilities, then yes, the Fever will eventually have a decision to make. But they don't need to make that decision now. Clark is 23 years old. There's time to experiment, adjust, and build the optimal structure around her. Most importantly, this is a basketball discussion. It's about X's and O's, about offensive philosophy, about maximizing elite talent. It has nothing to do with locker room drama, personality clashes, or whether Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark like each other. Conflating strategic questions with personal narratives is how real analysis gets replaced by noise, and Indiana deserves better than that. Here's what we actually know, based on facts rather than fan speculation. Kelsey Mitchell has repeatedly praised Caitlin Clark's approach, her elite playmaking, her willingness to fit into a team system, and her refusal to demand special treatment. Mitchell has openly stated that Clark's style complements her own game, making her more effective on the floor. The two have shown clear chemistry in games and in post-victory celebrations. Yes, Mitchell could leave Indiana in free agency. That's her right as a professional. But if she does, it won't be because of some imagined feud with Clark. Their relationship is one of mutual respect between two elite players who elevate each other, and everything else is invented drama for clicks. The real story is far more compelling. A veteran scorer adapting her game to thrive alongside a transcendent rookie, a team that missed the playoffs for 8 straight years rediscovering competitiveness, and two players with different styles figuring out how to maximize one another's strengths. No manufactured conflict required. So the next time someone claims Mitchell hates Clark, ask for evidence. A quote, an action, a single moment, and you won't find it. What you will see are two professionals figuring out how to win together in a league where roster continuity and chemistry are rare, which is worth celebrating. The real questions heading into next season are basketball ones. How will Stephanie White's system integrate with Clark's abilities? Can the Fever add pieces to contend for a championship? Will Mitchell re-sign or explore other options? But whether Mitchell and Clark have a personal problem was answered definitively in 2024 through Mitchell's own words, their on-court performance, and the chemistry that propelled Indiana back into playoff relevance. It's time to retire this narrative once and for all. They don't have a feud. The only problem is fans who keep insisting otherwise despite all the evidence. Are you ready to let go of this manufactured drama, or are you still clinging to a tension that nobody involved has ever acknowledged? Here's what we actually know, grounded in evidence rather than rumor. Kelsey Mitchell has consistently praised Caitlin Clark's approach, highlighting her playmaking, her willingness to fit within the team's structure, and her refusal to demand special treatment. Mitchell has made it clear that Clark's style enhances her own game, making her more effective, and the two have shown visible chemistry both on the court and in post-game celebrations. Mitchell could leave Indiana in free agency, and that's her right as a professional, but if she does, it won't be because of any imagined feud with Clark. Their relationship is one of mutual respect between two elite players who elevate each other, while everything else is fanfiction created by people who need drama to stay engaged. The real story is far more compelling. A veteran scorer adjusting her game to thrive alongside a transcendent rookie, a team that missed the playoffs for 8 straight years rediscovering competitiveness, and two players with contrasting styles learning to maximize each other's strengths. That's the narrative worth telling. No manufactured controversy required. So the next time someone pushes the Mitchell hates Clark storyline, ask them for evidence. A quote, a single action, any moment that proves it exists, because you won't find one.